So what ends up happening is that you decide you're going to go after your dream, you're going to go after the things that you care about, and you begin to get discouraged. And the reason you get discouraged is because at some point in your life, you have convinced yourself that there's people out there in the industry, there's people out in society who have this significance, right? And maybe they're monetizing very well and they're doing well and they have these resources, or maybe they've attributed some level of status which gives them recognition, it gives them value. And you begin to compare yourself, right? You begin to compare yourself about the things that they've done versus where you are, and you begin to see the gap. And that gap is so big and so profound that your mind begins to tell you all of these things that you lack. And on top of that, it begins to tell you the inadequacies. These are the stories that you've heard your whole life about not being good enough, about having limitations, about ultimately being in a position that is going to set you up for maybe some good things in life, but not that greatness. And over that period of time, what ultimately begins to happen is you begin to put in work because you feel like you need to make some sort of effort to the commitment that you've already decided, but it's a half-hearted effort. The effort, you see, is not full-out intensity with the intention of failing and possibly learning, or the intention of actually driving the dagger through the heart and seeing what you want manifest, come to fruition, and actually become a dream to reality state. What ends up happening is you get broken down, you begin to get nervous, and so you decide to only put in half as much effort, because then if that voice that's speaking to you in your head is telling you you're not good enough, and in fact you do fail, then at least you feel justified by not having put everything in. And I tell you right now that that is not what grit is about. That is not what intensity is about, and there's no success found in settling and doing something half-hearted or half-witted. You see, when you've made the decision to go all in, it requires grit. And grit is about understanding that whatever you do, you're going to have an outcome, and that outcome is going to have a consequence, and that consequence is either going to be good or bad. But better yet, you're not going to think about it from a bad standpoint, because the reality is that's just a choice, that's an interpretation. You see, what's going to end up happening is you're either going to do something that's going to be profound, and that's going to end up having some sort of success, and you're going to want to reinforce that, or you're going to find yourself in a position where you're going to do something and you're going to fall flat on your face, and it's going to hurt, and you're not going to want to continue going forward. And you know what? That is power, because now you've learned something. And in that ability for you to learn, and in that ability for you to bounce back and learn resilience and persevere and then take the next step, you're going to be that much closer, because now you're in a position where you have the intelligence, and with that now you can act with wisdom and know that you need to go in a completely different direction. And maybe you're going to fall again, but every single time where you go and you do something and you do the next thing, you're going to become that much closer. And there's power behind that, because that is what gives you skill, and that skill is what's going to allow you to have utility, and that utility is going to allow for you to be able to see things manifest and come to fruition. And that's the important piece. There's a quote by a man named Tom Bilyeu, and he says this: don't sacrifice what you want most for how you feel right now. So in that moment of the pursuit, when the fire is hot and intensity is at its worst, don't sacrifice ultimately what you want in the short term for what's most important to you in the long term. Be willing to endure, be willing to grow, be willing to be a student and learn from your mistakes, because in that, I promise you, there's liberation, and that liberation is going to allow for you to go next level. So make the decision, elevate yourself, and become great. And that next level is going to allow for you to be just like those individuals who are titan of industry or profound, significant icons out in society. And amongst them, as giants, you will stand as a giant yourself.